Genshin Impact has many characters in its roster, and as you may know, each one of them has an assigned role to it. For instance, there are many dedicated main damage dealers, whose entire role is to deal the most damage. Now, you obviously have more than just one, you actually have a lot more, but we'll group them into 4 main categories just to make it easier. But the neat part about Genshin is that it allows you to mess around with different builds, allowing you to play any character you wish in an unintended way and still be able to clear most of the game's content. But what would happen if you reversed the roles of every single character? Well, that's what we'll try to find out. Welcome to the Inazuma episode of the Role Reversal series. The rules are simple. I can never use the character's intended role. We can find out any character's role by looking at the kit, constellations, or by looking over guides like the ones on Kachin mains. And as for the goals, they are also pretty simple. The main goal is to beat as much as the end game as possible. This includes floor 12 of the Spiral Abyss and getting as far as possible in the new Imagineum theater. And now that everything is clear, let's get on with the video. As you can see, this video is cut into multiple parts. The first is the summer event, second the Inazuma Arkham quest, and third is the Chasm quest. I wanted to include everything I did in this video, but I don't want to have an hour-long video, so instead I'll summarize what happened in the event and the Chasm quest. The way I planned on 100% in the entire event area, yes, you heard me right, I'll 100% this entire limited area, is I'll do a quest until the game takes me away from the area I am, then I explore everything there is and then move on. And so the first day was just this. I streamed exploring the entirety of the first area of the event, doing everything there was to do, from meeting Nilu and getting this adorable artwork, to reaching all the highs and lows. Not even an inch was left untouched. But there was one thing that was bothering me, and that was my AR level. You see, I wanted to level up my characters, and I don't mean just level wise, but also build wise. I wanted a couple of times to farm artifacts just to see how bad it'd be, and what I could get, just for the fun of it. And well, let me tell you, I absolutely hate this thing. You can't even call this a domain, it's more of a psychological weapon. This has to qualify as a work line for the amount of pain it made me feel. Don't believe me? Imagine fighting 5 enemies and the time you are given is 6 minutes. Now imagine doing that, but with level 40 characters and your only competent character being 70. And thing is, the level 90 Viridescent domain wasn't even that bad compared to the lower levels. It doesn't even make any sense. How the hell is the last level and the one with max level enemies the easiest? How? Anyway, I did the Ascension domain, which was surprisingly easy. I expected to see the Electrocube by now, but apparently not. It's probably in the later Ascensions, but I don't plan on doing another one anytime soon. But the thing that made this a cakewalk was definitely the accidental burning team I made with Nahida and Dea, and having Sukos finish them off. Oh, and Mona's there for emotional support. After the Ascension, I immediately got to Era 45 from all of the XP I was hoarding for the last 10 months or so. No, really, that long. This video took 8 months to make, and it's likely that I had this XP for way longer than that. Maybe even longer than 10 months. But remember what I said about the Viridescent domain not even a minute ago? Well, apparently I'm a masochist because for some reason I decided to go back there in hopes of finding gold. I only found disappointment. And then I tried the Crimson Witch domain because this was streamed after the changes to the domains to make them easier. It was impossible to beat. You know what? Maybe farming's not for me. I had a couple of wishes saved up, so maybe I could actually get something good from there. Well, I let the footage speak for itself. I thought it was a gold for a second. So, just saying, you now know the luck of this account. you now know the luck on this. Here's a fun fact. The chance of getting an ember from any pool on the standard banner is 0.41%, or 1 in 244. It only took 10 pulls for me to get her. And if you thought the luck stopped there, well, I let the footage speak again. Wanna give it to me? What the fuck? You see? You see what I'm talking about? The luck is insane. The luck is fucking insane on this account. It's a fucking lucky account that was like, what, 18 pity? That was 18 pity, by the way. And like the first temple on this account got me there. Like 30 pulls later, I got fucking, whatchamacallit, Jade Spear or whatever. And then 20 pulls later, I get another Jade Spear. What the fuck? I would have preferred to get something else, because 22 pulls earlier I got another jade spear that I gave to Candace, but having another one definitely doesn't hurt. We end the day off by unlocking the Imagineum Theater, see that we can't actually do anything with it because our characters suck, be depressed after Hoyo installs our characters, and then go unlock the Spell Abyss, which will totally be a joyful place in the future. Now, I gotta be honest about this next part. I skipped everything. I have no idea what's happening in the story. I explored everything, then completed the story. The only thing worth mentioning is this chest that gave me some trouble, but my burning and at the same time pseudo Burgeon team did the job. Is what I would say if that was true. But luckily I'm a god gamer ever since I was born, so that wasn't hard at all, and now my characters died. In all seriousness, the sprinting iframes saved me numerous times. And if you don't know what I mean, don't worry, we'll encounter it later and I'll explain it when the time is right. The last part I did of the quest was actually really interesting. Not because of the exploration mechanics, those were alright, but the story gameplay itself. The boss fight section forced me to use Cutie Patootie, Nibloom, Neva, and Honda. It was interesting because of Nilu and Navia actually. Actually, take a look at this next clip, see if you noticed anything interesting. Isn't it weird that my health didn't get lowered even though I got hit? I know that Crystallize exists as a reaction that makes a shield, but that was the first time I actually really thought about it. If you didn't know, Crystallize works with EM. The more EM you have, the more the shield can tank for you. And given that we aren't allowed to use dedicated supports in this challenge, which includes shielders, healers, and buffers, it's impossible for us to get a shield other than Crystallize. But it'd be extremely annoying to switch to a Geo character mid-rotation just to get a shield, so it'd be better to get someone that can actually do that for us while off field. Well, we do have Chiori, Albedo, and Dongli, but using them like this would just mean using them for the intended purpose, which invalidates this challenge. But you're actually forgetting about someone, and that someone is the dog. No, not that dog. This dog. Yes, Goro can actually generate crystallized crystals while off field, specifically his burst. While his burst is active, and every 1.5 seconds, he deals an AoE geo damage to enemies around you and pulls in any crystallized shields you created. This thing is so niche, I wouldn't be surprised if any of you didn't know about this. And guess who got Goro not too long ago? So yes, Goro, the intended geo support made specifically for geo characters in mind, is a viable shield creator for us in the future. That sounded so fucking cursed, dude. So anyway, the boss itself wasn't that bad, and it was actually pretty fun, and I totally didn't cheese it once. And well, that was the summer event. Pretty short section, but it's about time to get to the main course. I can't find the footage of me doing the beginning of the Inazuma Archon quest for some reason, so we'll start from Yui's quest. But before that, Yana's banner is going currently, so let's get her. That was also around 20 PD. I'm starting to see a pattern being formed here. But we'll actually keep going because I want Yanfei's C4. I got her first copy from the Lantern Right, and seeing that she seems to be a dedicated DPS with little flexibility in role usage, she's perfect for us. Why do you ask? Well, earlier on I said that there is a severe lack of shielders we can use, and well, Yanfei has a pretty niche constellation for a DPS character. Her 4th constellation creates the shields whenever her burst is used. That absorbs up to 45% of Yanfei's max HP. Again, such a niche use for such a seemingly simple character. But the difference this time is that we actually have a budget Dongli C6, which heals you whenever you get hit and you have his shield up. We can emulate this by giving Yanfei a prototype Ember to give us shield and heal us at the same time. But anyway, we still need to wish a lot until we get our 4th constellation. Anyway, Yui's quest. That was the first time I actually tested this team comp, and to be honest, it works surprisingly well. Yuna needs a better weapon, better artifacts, and a higher level, sure, but she's doing surprisingly great against enemies with a pretty high level. And so, after that, we become enemies of the state, and then we go on a date with Egghead herself. Worst experience of my life. 4 out of 10, would not recommend. Only good thing was the funny cutscenes caused by me messing around. What followed is yet another relatively uneventful quest, which is Yui's story quest. Not much to mention since it's mostly dialogue with almost no combat, so we're moving on. Next is probably the most badass moments in Genshin and the fight with A. Actually, hold on, I wonder what her name means. You know what? That actually makes total sense. The fight with Egg was not one of my proud moments in gaming, quite the opposite actually. I'd love to share my thoughts during and about the battle, but to be honest I had no clue what the fuck I was doing. I never fought Raiden before, except the animal only video, which you should probably check out after finishing this video. So I didn't know what to think about what she was doing. After that mess of a fight, we go and join Coconut to fight against Raiden. And this was the time I finally got used to using this mess of a team I randomly put together. Sure, Zuko still carries everyone since Yelan's level is so low, but he definitely has some potential. Now he E to apply Dendro, then Dea E, and then Zuko's to double or triple E in quick succession. And you can see me jumping to cancel the animation, so I use all of her skills quicker. And then switch to Yelan, use her skill and then burst. The burning damage does a lot, but what does the most damage are the burgeons by Dea. They destroy any enemy unfortunate enough to sit inside of a circle. We join the resistance, and our first task is to activate these 3 elemental pillars, which totally did not take me 10 minutes to figure out in what order I should activate them. What's more impressive other than my stupidity is the amount of damage this team does. I said this multiple times, but see for yourself. It shouldn't work this well, and yet it does. Next, Tepe died. Anyway, new domain, which means more fighting. But before that, I wanted to check if something still worked. Did you know that there is an out of bounds bug near Magukinki? Yeah, there is, but as far as I know, it only works with Chi-Chi, since her hitbox was the jankiest with the type of terrain we're working with. She goes inside of the ground a lot if you sprint, and if you do it properly, you can actually remain inside of the ground. If you position yourself correctly, the game should allow you to change to a taller character and then allow you to wander inside of the mountain. There's literally nothing here, nothing game breaking, nothing to help you with, no exploit, nothing. This is the only one I know about, but there's definitely more like this one. But anyway, let's get back to the domain. It was the same as the last one. We did meet Honda, but the following fight was really easy. Just did burning and hit enemies from afar with Yelan. And next up is the anti-Raiden Shogun training, and I wanna take a minute or two to explain my strategy, if anyone's struggling with this. I did this on the hardest difficulty, and the strat was to stay on the edge of the arena as far away as possible from the machine thingy, and I ran in one direction and never stopped. I never paid any attention to my character and I had my eyes fixated on the machine. Something to know is that every single time before the machine attacks, it has to move up and open itself up before attacking. And so every time before the machine opened up, or just before it was done opening up, I pressed the sprint key. Sprint a couple of steps and then stop. Now you may see me getting hit, quote unquote, a couple of times, but not being registered. What the hell is that? Well, remember what I said about the sprint iframes a couple of minutes ago? Well, let me explain. In Genshin, every time you sprint with any character, it will be impossible for you to get hit or damaged. It only lasts for about half a second, but it helps in situations where you know for sure you'll get hit. The timing is tight, yes, and does require you to know the enemy's attacks and when exactly you get hit. With this, you can dodge pretty much everything as long as it's just one damage instance and not multiple, one after another. That's how my characters didn't die when I fought the Hilichurl for that chest in Simulanka earlier. Well, the same thing applies here. None of the hits will register during that short period, and if you stop your dash, then you will save a lot of stamina to do this over and over again. So just run in a circle and dash a tiny bit just before the attack happens, and even if it does hit you, if you time it correctly, the hit won't register. And as for the last thing you gotta do, don't destroy the thing using pyro attacks. You'll burn the grass and you'll get damaged by said burning grass, and you have to do this all over again. So just avoid using pyro and you'll be fine. The same strat kinda works in the second phase. While fighting the enemies, you can keep an eye on the machine thing in the middle, and just before it attacks, just dash and you'll avoid any damage. So just auto attack and you'll be fine. Or if it doesn't work, then dodge one attack, then do as much damage within the 5-second window. So dodge, attack a tad bit, then dodge again, and repeat, since there's no time limit. And now back to the story. After a situation with Egg's simp, we follow her and yet another fight ensues. Next up is yet another 2 bosses I'm not too familiar with. Signora took me 2 tries because I didn't know all of her attacks and she killed me in the second phase of the battle, and same goes with the Egg. But after being humiliated twice and the game basically telling me to try going for an easier difficulty and me accepting because I have no other choice, I managed to beat the both of them in the second try and finally saved Inazuma. The only thing that needs to be done now is the final quest, and oh. Well, we're going in the Chasm. I would have gone there regardless because I want to raise Yelan, but now I have a good excuse to go there. And so we begin the Chasm Dwellers quest. We lower the 3 pillars, which weren't that much of a problem if it wasn't for my own stupidity once that almost wiped my entire team, but we'll ignore that. Now, as a little fun fact about this quest, the length is supposed to be around 40 minutes if you are casual and don't know anything about it compared to someone like me that did it once already. Wanna guess how long this took me? Maybe 20 minutes, 40, an hour? This took me over 3 hours. Not because of the combat scenes, although I do remember having some trouble at times, but because of the quest itself, and the map too, and me going out of my way to explore, but mostly the quest and map. For instance, there is this puzzle where you need to light up 4 light thingies, one being permanently lit up, 2 of them being lit up by 2 cities, and you need to light up the last one. Sounds easy enough, right? The location of it is in the southeast of the Chasm, and you need to get there from the north. Again, sounds easy enough, right? Well, this single puzzle took me 40 minutes to do, and it reminded me of how much I despise this place. The map's shit, and you don't even know where you are half the time. Even worse is that you don't even know where you're going most of the time. But overall, it was an alright experience, and everything was pretty fairly balanced and enjoyable. Except for you. Fuck you, Timmy. And your friends too. Fuck you all. And we ended off with a boss fight that's way harder and longer than I expected. And that's what she said. And after that intense boss fight, we get saved by Yelan, and we finish the quest. But we still have some stuff to finish, so let's properly finish up Inazuma, shall we? The Dying Slips quest was, once again, quite interesting, just like the last one. New enemies I'm not too familiar with means I'm gonna die. A lot. Fortunately, this quest suffers from yapping syndrome, or in other words, barely any gameplay, and most of it is just dialogue. Still, I now know why people fear Abyss runs when they appear in the Spiral Abyss. And those guys weren't the only ones that gave me trouble. The Abyss mages also killed off some of my characters. Anyway, what did we learn in this quest? Well, the average Genshin player commits numerous crimes against humanity on a daily basis, and if not after finding out what we're killing when we farm villagers, we still commit mass killings on the local populations. Oh wait, about the challenge? Oh right, of course. Yelan is a really good DPS character, better than what most people give her credit for, which is a shame. Same goes with burning team comps, they're really fun to play with. Totally recommend if you're bored and wanna try something new. You won't regret it. And as for what I'm planning on spending my rating from now on, since I'm finally AR45, that's an easy question to answer. I'll either spend it leveling up Yelan or spend my eternity running away in the Noblesse domain, since it's got a massive nerf in the last patch and basically made it a joke and the easiest domain in the game. And from what I get from there, as well from the boss drops, I'll use to strongbox the sets I need. It will take 4 times longer than doing them normally, yes, but I can't have another iridescent experience now after what I've been through. I'll try to get a good 2-piece Hydro, 2-piece Noblesse set for Yelan. Then we'll move to a 4-piece Noblesse for the cabbage, so I'll have a budget banner for my team. Then get a good 4-piece iridescent set for Sucrose, and yes, fully main DPS Sucrose is, at least from my experience, better than crit Sucrose. And then maybe start on a main DPS Farzan, and then we'll see what we'll do. Still, that's quite a long time in the future, and anything can happen. We'll have to see what the future brings. But if you have any suggestions on what I should do, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts. And so, that brings this video to an end. This is a shorter one compared to the newer one, and it was intentional considering that the Archon quests progressively get longer and longer. And considering how every episode is centered on each Archon quest up until its conclusion, you can see how that will get out of control pretty fast. The next one in Sumeru is 14 hours long. Compare that to the Inazuma one, which lasts 9 hours to complete. But anyway, that's enough for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.